Hi, fourth grade. I hope you guys are doing well and that you enjoyed the first video on poetry. Today's video is going to be a social studies video, which I know you're all excited about. It's my favorite subject. It's a lot of your favorite subject. So let's go ahead and start with our objective for today. Our objective is to describe the importance of the Louisiana Purchase. So I kind of want you to think back to where we left off in history before we started studying government and the branches of government. The Revolutionary War had just ended, right? And so we had gained our independence from Britain. We were setting up our government. We had a constitution. We had all of these founding fathers coming together to come up with some great ideas. And so today we're going to talk about what happened after that. You know, the founding fathers kind of looked at each other and said, what now? We have a country. What do we do next? So let's start with a riddle. I want you to think about what these things have in common. This man is Thomas Jefferson. This country's flag, France. And this state, as we now know, Louisiana. Okay, so Louisiana, TJ, Thomas Jefferson. He was the writer of the Declaration of Independence, remember? Super important guy. And France. What could they possibly have in common? Did Thomas Jefferson love Cajun food from Louisiana? Did Thomas Jefferson speak French? Well, the answer is that Thomas Jefferson was president when we purchased a large chunk of land of Louisiana and all of the states surrounding it, and so America actually doubled in size. So you know how today you have 50 states to choose from. If you live in the United States and you're a citizen, you have 50 states to choose from. Well, I want you to think back to the 1800s. If you were a citizen in the United States, you only had 13 places to choose from, and they were all on the coast. And so after the Revolution, the 13 colonies, now states, have started to get really, really crowded. And people were itching to kind of explore and see what else is out there. Well, at the time, another country owned Louisiana and all of the states surrounding it, and that was France. And a man named Napoleon was in charge of France. It's similar to how Thomas Jefferson was in charge of the United States in 1803. And so his country owned Louisiana and all of the states surrounding it. Well, Thomas Jefferson then thought it was a good idea to try to make a deal with Napoleon, and he sent over one of his good friends, James Monroe, to see if he could purchase the land from him. And what do you think happened? Napoleon said no at first, and then changed his mind. So that's kind of the intro to our lesson. And you are going to need a few things with you so we can jump right in and learn more about this land that was purchased to make America bigger. You'll need this article that I sent to your parents, the Louisiana Purchase, and it has a map at the bottom. And then you will need the questions that go with it. There are 4 comprehension questions and a map. And it's kind of organized kind of weirdly. We don't usually cut up the United States like this geographically, but I'll tell you why we did that. And then you'll need a pen or a pencil and, of course, a highlighter. So we're going to read this article together, highlight the important parts. I'm going to help you answer one question, and then we're going to go over why was that purchase of Louisiana territory so beneficial to our country and to all of the citizens in the country. Okay, so let's go ahead and start reading this article. America became a very popular place for many Europeans to live. They wanted land to farm, freedom of religion, and space to build a home and raise a family. But so many people had this great idea that the United States became very populated very quickly. Pause, highlight, very populated very quickly. So when I look back to my article, I can tell, oh yeah, that's why we needed the land, because our country was overpopulated. We need room. Settlers became so crowded together that they were running out of land to plant crops and build homes. A decision was made to purchase some land that ran beyond the Mississippi River. The French owned this land at the time. Pause. Who owned it? The French. Do you remember the guy's name who was in charge of France? Napoleon Bonaparte. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson sent James Monroe over to France to make a deal for a small portion of the land. Napoleon, France's emperor, at first turned down the offer to sell a small part of the land. After thinking more about it, he decided to sell all of the land France owned because his country needed the money. Let's pause there. Take out your highlighter and highlight. After thinking more about it, he decided to sell all of the land France owned because his country needed the money. Why do you think his country needed the money? If you know anything about French history, you know that they had just gotten out of a Revolutionary War themselves, and they were fighting Great Britain and other European countries. So they were in a lot of debt too. Wars cost a lot of money. And so France decided the only way they could make money was to sell all of this land. James Monroe offered $15 million for the land, which was about 827,000 square miles. This exchange of land became known as the Louisiana Purchase. It was the biggest purchase of land that the United States had ever made. The Louisiana Purchase doubled the size of the United States and allowed pioneers like Lewis and Clark to explore the West. Okay, so what do you think we should highlight there? I'm thinking how much money it was. $15 million. That's back then. It would be a lot more money today, and I'm going to tell you how much it would cost today. Let's highlight the square miles, 827,000 square miles, and we'll discuss how many square miles of land we had with just the 13 colonies. I also want to highlight the Louisiana Purchase doubled the size and allowed pioneers like Lewis and Clark to explore the West. Okay. So that's what you should have highlighted. Notice I'm not highlighting everything. If I highlighted everything, I wouldn't know what the most important parts are. And so this, the middle section in the map, right here, is the entire territory that was purchased, right? That's a lot bigger than just Louisiana, right? Okay. I want to discuss a few kind of interesting facts before we answer the questions on the comprehension page. So we purchased the land for $15 million in 1803. In 2020, today, that would be $309 million. That's a lot of money. Let's see. By the end of the purchase, we had 827,000 square miles in the blue, so that's after we purchased it. But before then, in the green, the 13 colonies, we only had 430,000 square miles. So it more than doubled the size. So if I double the size of the country, I can have a larger population, we can spread more ideas, we can meet new people, we can discover and set up new cultures. So that's why this purchase was so important. It grew this melting pot of America. And then, of course, you know about Lewis and Clark. We're going to study their biographies a little bit more. But Thomas Jefferson shows them because they were the best at what they did as explorers. And so they end up seeing all these new creatures that they had never seen before and wrote everything down in their own diary. And we're going to look at what they described in their diary when they see an elk for the first time. And they'd never seen one before. Because remember, we only had the 13 colonies, so we're only exposed to those types of creatures and agriculture that they're used to. Okay, so remember, 15 million in 1803, which is the year of the purchase, would be 309 million in 2020. And we started out with 433,000 square miles, and we gained 827,000 square miles whole. Maybe you can do a math problem and see what the difference is. So I subtract this, from this. Okay. Let's answer this one question to get you guys started. Why did the United States need more land in the 1800s? Take your pen or your pencil. Okay. Go ahead and write. The U.S. needed more land in the 1800s because the country was overpopulated. And overpopulation can be sometimes a bad thing. We're trying to avoid today with the coronavirus too many people being together all at once. And so overpopulation can oftentimes cause some serious diseases, right? That's why Philadelphia and the yellow fever was such a hub for that disease to spread, because there were so many people packed so tightly together. They didn't have enough space. This is what you guys should have. The U.S. needed more land in the 1800s because the country was overpopulated. And you can always pause my video if you need more time to copy down. Okay. Now, your assignment after this lesson is to go ahead and answer the questions 1 through 4 using the article we just read together. The only thing we're going to do together on this is the direction that says color in the land bought during the Louisiana Purchase on the map above. You can use a colored pencil or marker. I'm just going to use my red pen because that's what I have. We're going to color in this middle section. So really the Louisiana Purchase, I have a list of states today that were a part of the Louisiana Purchase. Arkansas, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Minnesota, and then some parts of New Mexico, South Dakota, Texas, Wyoming, Montana, and Colorado. That's a long list of states that were added. Pretty cool. So, go back to this. Color in the middle section. And I'm just going to put LP, stands for Louisiana Purchase. Okay, so let's go back to our objective and see if we met it. We had to describe the importance of the Louisiana Purchase. Why was it necessary to purchase all of this land? Well, the United States was overpopulated. We needed more people to move west. Very important. The bigger our country is, the larger our ideas can spread, right? The more beneficial benefits we have of exploring different types of cultures, different styles of living. And we will learn that the West will become very different than life in the New England towns and the southern towns and the 13 original colonies. So I think we met our objective by reading our article. Your assignment is to answer the questions right here. Please do them in complete sentences and in cursive and pencil, just like we would in class. Okay, Thomas Jefferson and I are going to go. We'll go ahead and discuss our next recorded lesson. Miss you guys so much. Please keep praying that this coronavirus ends. But just remember, even though how horrible this is, you guys are making history. You're making history, and this will definitely be something that goes down in the history textbooks and in books all over the world, where you'll get to tell people how life changed during this time. And think back to, yeah, my teacher had to teach me throughout a screen. It was so crazy. There was no toilet paper. It was crazy. So just remember, I know this stinks, and I really wish I could be in front of you, but you are a part of a historical event that many people will talk about generations from now. So that's kind of neat. Even though it's a bad circumstance, try to pull the positive out of it, is that you have gotten to experience a different way of living. So I hope you're having a great time spending more time with your family, getting outside for a little bit of fresh air, and obviously keeping your schedule of learning. Okay? Can't wait to see you guys. See you next time. Bye.